Hi folks, welcome back to the Horde. So, I don't know, it's almost 4 o'clock. It is 12/28, Sunday, 7.4 degrees Celsius. I got yellow light on, been overcast all day. Got the front blowing in, 45 Fahrenheit. So what am I up to? I was looking over this bike and I found a bunch of interesting stuff, so I figured I'd take you guys along, because if you watch my channel, sooner or later you're going to find on Craigslist or eBay, or somebody's going to offer you one. You'll see one out and back somebody's house. You're going to find one of these three-wheelers and you're just going to have it, or you already have one out back and you've been thinking about fixing it. So let's go through a few things. A lot of this stuff has been kind of dispersed through the many videos I've made, but I figured, what the heck, let's try to put it in one place and see how things work out. Okay, so we walk up to this bike and we walk up to the engine and we say to ourselves, what kind of condition are we in? Did anybody do anything stupid that I need to worry about? So with that, this cover's on, which is kind of a good sign. That means nobody's messed with the timing adjuster or anything. But if it's a high mileage engine, that could also mean the timing adjuster's real loose and you can end up throwing a chain. But given that that's there, that's kind of a nice sign. I check the spark plug threads. They're real good. No oil running out of the hole. Gasket here is nice, right? No oil running down the seam. I didn't even check the oil though. That's always a good thing. Oil doesn't look horrible. Doesn't look great, but there is some in there. That's a good sign. This engine is just dropped into the frame. It is loose. There's nothing holding it in there. Nothing at all. Anyway, I was looking at what was going on with this mess here and timing these things. And this is important. Timing for this guy, for this, the magnetic side of that, is just about straight up, give or take a little bit, give or take a few degrees one side or the other. So the magnetic side, one side's magnetic, one side's not. You can tell. Put a screwdriver to it, a non-magnetic screwdriver, you can see it's stuck. The other side, nothing. Right, happy, good. So we know this is the magnetic side. So I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, if that's about top dead center, or where it should fire, what is this doing over here? So then I double checked, and the way you find top dead center for the crank is you take this plug out, which is a bitch to get out, so no, I don't take it out. But as you look through dead center, you should see something like, and this might be a little hard to show you. So do have some patience. Maybe better with the little spotlight. What you're gonna see in here is, if I can ever get the angles just right, you'll see a little F and a line on that side of the F. You want that dead center here, and that's when this thing should fire, which means this thing is off, and you can see that it's not seated properly. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, these things are all garred up, and lastly, these wires are taped. I also went through the trouble, I don't know if you guys remember when I made this, and for the pulsar, right, the ohm reading should be blue and yellow, about 30 ohms, And if you check this, and I went and I got a second meter just to be sure. Oh, well, while the meter's sitting here, first thing I did is I checked the stator, which is this guy, black to ground, right? And black to ground about 58 ohms. And of course it's got to blow away. I'm seeing over 200. And I even went and got a second meter because I didn't believe it. It's still telling me around 200. So I'm a little nervous about the condition of the stator coil, especially given this is loose. Like, what was somebody doing here? This is an old 200S motor. You check the cc's right here, and 197 cc's means that it's a 200 or 198, whatever that number is right there. And given that it's got a, like right now it's in neutral, right? You can tell the sprocket's loose. To go into first, it's a downshift pattern. That makes it an older engine. So this could be off an ATC 200 or an old 200S. Yeah, this is an old guy. So the ohm values were a little higher. I also checked the ohm value here, and I compared it against my given. Really nice ones. Blue, yellow to ground. I just go across the two of them. We're looking at 30 ohms. This one is up around to 80, and so is my little test guy here. Some of the older machines, the values were higher. You get a stronger spark with lower values, so I'm probably, when I go to fire this thing up on its OEM ignition system, I'm probably going to use the original stator and the original pulsar. Oops. Look at it. That's how loose it is. Yeah, this thing belongs up here like that, but I have to get those two screws out to make things work. So, how to time this thing? Once again, if you look down on the flywheel here, if you're able to see it, you'd see an F, and just a little counterclockwise to the F is a line, and you line that up in between the two little divots underneath there. So you set that up there. This should be right on top, and this guy should be lined up right there like that, such that it sparks when this thing is lined up to the fire line. So you make sure all of that is good, and the other thing you do is once you do that, then you rock this back and forth and make sure you don't have any play. This bike has a secondary problem. One, that after you put all this time and effort into firing it up, she's going to be very inconsistent for you. And the problem is, like on this thing, I don't know if you could see that, the spring is broken. It's hanging right off there. And if you turn this, it doesn't spring back into place, right? It just kind of flops about, which means your timing is going to be all over the place. The way it should work is at low idle, there's no timing advance, and as you speed up, right, I think you can see this little piece here. It actually, oops, when it's at idle, the springs are holding it down. So let me get to the right spot. So there's no timing advance. You can see how that's tight. But as it speeds up, those things fly out, and the thing begins to advance, which gives you your timing advance, right? Well, if you don't have springs on it, it's hard to start an engine where the timing's advanced. An engine where the timing is retarded, when you're supposed to be spooling it up, right, that means you'll end up breaking up until things kind of find their place. So this engine will be all over the place. It'll be a bitch to start if you're trying to start it and it's in the advanced position. It might pop start though, so if you're rolling it down a hill, you might get it to actually pop start. But the performance will be inconsistent too. One time you'll go to run it up and she'll run up real nice, and the next time it'll feel like a little dull, and the problem is your broken springs. So given that this thing, right, doesn't stay, it has broken springs inside, so I gotta do something with that. Good things, right? No strippo here. This shaft is not strippo. To shift it, notice where I put my vice grips away from these. You don't want to put vice grips on these. You don't want to touch these with anything but a shifting rod or shifting lever, right? This is in nice shape. The holes here, all in nice shape. So it's interesting the way this bike is. When you look at the frame, given nothing's bented, twisted, torn off, no welds or anything, it's almost like this frame sat around for a long time. For whatever reason, the 200X motor is not here. Maybe they pulled it off to put it on another project. Maybe they blew it up. But the frame doesn't look like it was abused on the way to blowing up the motor. This motor doesn't look like it was abused on its way to coming here. But in my opinion, given the fact that somebody tried to get in here, that somebody monkeyed with the pulsar, given that the springs are broken here, which means it would have been a bitch to start if it started. Given that people started to fool around down here, I'm thinking this was a non-starting engine that somebody saved because it looked like it was in pretty decent shape, and this frame was a frame that somebody blew up the engine and kind of kept it around for whatever reason. I'm thinking that the wire harness on it, though it does have some tape and all, I don't know. I'm going back and forth. They did a pretty decent job, or when you look at like the way the CDI unit fits right in there and all, but I could swear that 84 200X's had square box CDI units, and that's a round. This is a round guy here. So I'm also thinking, I mean, this is an 84, right? You can see it right there. I'm also thinking that engine, given it's a downshift pattern, right, is an older engine. It should also have a round plug CDI or a square plug CDI, right? So I'm not quite sure. I'm going to have to probably spend a few minutes sorting the wiring out on this thing. Well, my way of sorting the wiring out is I'm probably going to take the wiring out of this thing and put in a wire harness that I know functions. I'm probably first going to start this thing on my portable CDI box, get the whole thing running on that, and then after that start sorting through the wiring. One of you guys out there, I haven't heard from you lately, but you really know your bikes well, and I think you were telling me that for an 84 for the 200X, that the 200S motor would go right in. And just off the top of my head, that seems to fit well. This looks pretty good. I'm not positive about the alignment. Generally speaking, it looks like the alignment's pretty close, you know, as I look for the sprocket there. So those pieces look good. These brackets, I'll probably have to get back into making cardboard brackets and seeing what I could squeeze in there. You know, it is what it is. But I just wanted to, once again, show you, particularly the reason for this video was how to time this thing. And that helped one see that they had the pulsar in the wrong place. Okay, so I wanted to show you that, and I wanted to show you that it appears that these springs are broken. So after you go through all the trouble of working on the bike and putting it all together, given that it's got no springs here, that means your advance is all over the place, and it would show up most often when you went to start it. It would be a bitch to start. So when you get these basket cases, you have to kind of know what you're up to on that. when you get a bike, you just got to go back to the beginning, right? What's the ohm value of my stator? What's the ohm value of my pulsar? For me, the pulsar is the most thing because I can use my portable CDI box to get them fired. So I always look at that first. Where is my pulsar? What's my timing look like? Obviously, I got a problem there, so I got to get that straightened up before I can even attempt to start it. To get this thing fired, I'm going to slam a bolt in there. I got to slam a bolt in here. Nut them on the end so that they don't jump off. Got to get the gas tank off. Got to get the pulsar on here timed correctly. Put my CDI box on it. Make sure I actually have spark. After that, I'll tighten these up. Right. Put a recoil on it. And then I'll probably do a compression test. And I do a compression test first, for that way I'm pulling it a few times, moving the oil around, fill it with oil, do a compression test. Just do that to make sure I've actually moved some oil around. I'll put an exhaust pipe on it, right? Just a straight pipe. I don't think I'll hang the whole exhaust system. And then I'll, once again, carb, gas tank, and I'll probably fire it up. I already shifted it. And it shifted okay, so none of that's broken. Make sure it went into neutral. It was in gear. This all looks fine. Looks like I can put a sprocket right on there. So it actually it looks like a real nice engine. It looks like a $150 engine. Off the top of my head, it looks all good. Though, once again, it does need some love and attention if I want it to run. It doesn't look like anything screwed up. I've paid more than $100 for an engine in worse condition than this. So anyway, I hope you learned something. It's a good starting point, a good place to go and figure out how to get yourself running. Yeah, I'm not sure why. For some reason, I had trouble getting up, waking up at around 7-ish, 7:30-ish. So kind of slept until 8 o'clock. Had some breakfast. My wife ran out to do some errands, and I couldn't keep my eyes open. I went back to sleep for another couple of hours. Then spent some time talking with some friends and all. And here I am back again. Didn't get a lot done today, but I got something done, so I'm okay. I'm good with it. Given that it's raining and all, it's hard to move things too far forward. Supposed to hook up with a friend for lunch tomorrow, so I have a little time in the morning. I gotta go pick up eyeglasses. Got some more visits with cousins and all. I love the holidays. I love seeing family, but I really wish that I could see them all at the same time somewhere. Go to a big restaurant and even if I had a treat, right? We'll go to one of those buffet things, right, where it's $10 a person to get in. Invite 30 people that I want to see, feed them all at the same time, and then have some holiday time to just kind of play myself. For all these days off I've had, and once again, I'm not complaining. I enjoy seeing my son, but I see him for a couple of days, and I see friends for a couple of days, and I see cousins for a couple of days, then I see my parents and siblings for a couple of days, and it's like all this time went by, and I really didn't have any time to play. That's why you guys are seeing all these I'm gonna do this or you could do that videos rather than seeing stuff actually happen, right? It's hard to take all the toys outside to play with them or move things around to play with it, and then get tied up with family and have it rain and snow all over your cool stuff. Folks, thank you for watching and commenting and subscribing. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for all the kind Christmas wishes. I appreciate all that. I do read every comment. Some comments, for whatever reason, they'll show them to me and I'll read them, but they don't let me respond to them. And I know some of you guys don't want your comments responded to, so you block them. But they'll show me, and I read them. And for some of you out there, I can respond to them all the time. On some of them, I can't respond a second time. So I don't know if you watch stuff over Google Plus, I could respond to them, or if you don't, or if you watch it on regular Google, I could respond to them. Or if I'm not sure what criteria they have, but every once in a while, though, I'll see your comments, and it won't let me respond to them. Mechanic Man, I can see your comments, and I appreciate your comments, so keep making them. Though your last couple wouldn't let me respond to them either. Typically, I try to respond to every comment, even the ones where people tell me my butt sucks canal water. So if for some reason you don't see a response from me, and it might be that I haven't responded to comments for the last 3 days, which is true. I've been busy, or it might be for whatever reason it won't let me respond to them. So sorry if it doesn't let me. Generally speaking, I try to respond to every single comment, because if you guys are going to take the time to write them, I want to take the time to respond to them, right? Because I like the feedback, and if I never respond, you guys will stop commenting, and then I won't have the feedback that I like. So I really do try to respond to everyone. All right, folks, remember, keep your feet down, keep your head up, and enjoy all your days. Go out and buy more shit than you could ever deal with, more stuff than you could ever hoard, more stuff than you could put away, and then act like a lunatic trying to keep it dry and safe. Take care, folks. Bye now.